Hello, everyone. All right, we made it. Day 7. Day 7 of 7 days YouTube live series. Diving into the divine design. My hair is a mess, but what does that even mean? Hi, Lars. Hi, Marissa and Bridget and Brittany. Carrie, Bridget, Give Me Freedom, Monica. Oh, I look fabulous. That's great. That's good. How are you guys doing? Happy Sunday or Monday, wherever you are. And if you're listening to this on the replay, happy whatever day it is for you. Or not happy day. Whatever day you're having. May you be gentle with yourself as you're having it. Hi, Rose and Lily, Candles in the Wood. All right. I am excited for this day. It's the last day of our live series, and we're going to be talking about just where we are currently in our evolution and stepping into more of this multidimensional human. What does that mean? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? um, and I'll answer some questions. I'm going to read a little bit from the book. So if you're new here, this is, we're talking about the book I wrote called The Divine Design, and it's available in paperback, hardcover, and ebook, and it will be available in audio in about 2 months in November. I will be recording it in Sedona in 2 weeks, so I'm really excited about that. So you can get the Divine Design pretty much on any online book retail site, almost all over the world, unless you're in Russia. I think it's almost impossible to get it in Russia and a couple of other countries. But for the most part, you can get it anywhere. And if you are reading it or you have read it, thank you so much for your support and for sharing the book if you decide to share it. No, never found the dog. The noise just completely stopped. It was very strange. Searched and searched the mountain, nothing. It was very weird. It was very surreal. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, go watch my YouTube that I just put up or my Instagram or Facebook story that I put up. I was talking about the strange experience I had this morning. I don't know. I don't believe the dog was injured, or I don't think it was just, I really don't know what happened to it, but I would have heard it moving if it was moving. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But anyways, let's do this. Let's read a little bit. And I wanted to read about the multidimensional experience. So what does that even mean, the multidimensional? It's what you and I are stepping into, which is basically starting to experience our world in new ways, but ways that are very different than how we've done it in the past. Not just like, oh my God, I'm having these new experiences in my life, but like really life-altering, energetically new ways of being in the world. An example would be that you are starting to feel yourself living in more of a present moment state. You're feeling yourself living in less resistance, less attachment. You're starting to trust something beyond you, the identifier as the ego personality. You're starting to recognize that, life is happening for you. It's an energetic experience. It's something that you are feeling, as opposed to, I am these experiences. I am a victim to these experiences. Uh, Another example of starting to have a multidimensional experience is that you're starting to experience time very differently. You're starting to feel as if you're in the world, but not of the world. So it's almost like you're walking around like, I know that I'm walking around in this world, but I really don't feel like I'm here, right? That's different dimensional fields. That's you moving in and out of different quote unquote dimensional fields. And all a dimensional field is an energetic cloud, so to speak. It's not something that you can physically see. You'll never physically see dimensional fields. They're energetic clouds. Again, I want you to imagine that you are in a cloud. So when you step out of the cloud, yeah, it looks like a physical cloud, but when you're in the cloud, it looks like vapor. You don't realize you're in a cloud. Okay? Dimensional fields are the same way. You never see the dimensional field because you're in the dimensional field. So you'll never actually see like, oh, there's the fifth dimension or the sixth dimension. That never happens. You are either in it or not in it. And you're either experiencing it or not experiencing. It's not something that you're standing out from and looking at saying, "Oh my god, I'm about to go walk into that dimensional field," right? It's an energy. And so we're starting to become more energetic. We're starting to access different clouds. And these different clouds or dimensional fields are allowing us to have much more potent and powerful experiences as the human, ways of being that we haven't necessarily accessed before. What you'll also start to notice as you start to step into more of a multidimensional human or multidimensional experiences, what you'll also start to notice is that many really powerful spiritual thought leaders and teachers taught about these ways of being for thousands of years. And now, just the very human layman person is starting to access these teachings quite easily, right? Because it is the natural process of our evolution. The human is designed to begin to be able to access these higher states. And higher is literally just a term we use. It's just a label, it's a word, you know. I get comments all the time of people that want to come in and really, poke at me, and they'll say, "There is no such thing as higher. What does higher even mean? Where are we trying to get higher from?" And it's like, okay, first of all, you're taking words literally. We have like you're like grabbing a word and like that, making everything about that word. You have to understand that everything is energetic, and unfortunately, we have to use words to describe the energies, but you don't want to grab the word so tightly and create a label and a story around it as if it means dot dot dot. It's simply just a way to describe what we're in, the energetic world. We need words because unfortunately we're not all telepathically communicating yet. Eventually, who knows when, we'll find ourselves able to communicate without words, and then then you're truly able to express what you're feeling. It's very difficult to express the energy of something, to try to describe the energy of something. Try to describe what it feels like to be in love. Try to describe what it feels like when you're in so much joy. What does joy actually feel like? Describe that to me. It's hard. It's the same thing with moving into higher states of consciousness or new states of consciousness. If you actually understood what you were experiencing, you would realize how difficult it is to actually describe it. It's very difficult. So this is all a very natural process that we're in. And the divine design ends towards the end of the book. It talks about what we're doing and why why we have gone through everything that we're going through. That it's all perfect and that it's all beautiful, even though it sucks and even though it's hard and even though, we have medical issues and we have insurance issues and we have animal issues and we have, relationship issues. Of course we do. It still doesn't mean that this is not perfectly designed. It just doesn't, you know? Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit and then I'll ask you guys some questions. Or I'm not going to ask you questions. I'll let you ask me some questions. I'm going to read from chapter 17. It's 17.2, the multidimensional experience. Okay. So we'll just read a little bit of this and then do some questions. Um, the human has never experienced the current physical shifts within their body. When I talk about, or when they talk, when the book talks about the physical shifts, it's literally the physical body holding more energy or more light. It's becoming a physical evolution, even though it's all energy. The physical body is shifting. So the human has never experienced the current physical shifts within their body. They do not have a reference point. It requires patience, surrender, trust, and most importantly, being the observer. When the human becomes the observer, they begin to see themselves in the human journey instead of being the human journey. They begin to choose. They begin to feel without attachment. They begin to experience frequencies within their body, and they begin to notice the subtle shifts in their states of consciousness. A state of consciousness is just a way of being. It's just how you are being in the world. You're being attached to something, restrictive, resistant, in flow, positive, negative, um, those types of things. You're allowing yourself to feel, you're judging yourself, you're blaming other people. Those are all states of being. You're getting angry at somebody, you're getting angry at yourself, you're being triggered, and so then you're projecting that out onto other people. Once the human becomes the observer, they begin to experience themselves embodying their multidimensionality. They feel and see their shifts between dimensional fields. And they will start to notice when they have anchored into another dimensional field. There are many ways the human will experience their multidimensionality. We will list a few below. One of the first experiences had by the human as they step into their multidimensionality is reconnecting and embodying all fragmented aspects of the human's light consciousness, the spirit, that left the body due to trauma. The human releases all trauma, pulls in all fragmented aspects of themselves, and begins to become whole once more. So this is essentially kind of like energetic leaks that happen, or disembodiment, disassociation. And when we start to step into our multidimensionality, which is what we're all doing, one of the ways that you'll realize that you're doing it is that it's inevitable. You can't stop, you can't not heal trauma. You can't not start to integrate and bring back into wholeness any aspects of yourself that you have ignored or denied or pushed aside. You start bringing all of the fragmented parts of you back in. The parts of you that feel unworthy, the parts of you that feel like you don't deserve, the parts of you that feel abandoned, the parts of you that feel unsafe, the parts of you that feel insecure. These are all fragmented aspects, right? And when you start to heal trauma, you start to recognize these fragmented aspects that have associated or connected to the trauma and believe that they are unworthy. They believe that they are going to be abandoned. They believe that they are uh, not deserving of ... These fragmented aspects are so traumatized that they attach to the experience and literally detach from the spirit. And so you literally, as the observer, as you start to shift and hold higher frequencies in the body, You as the observer are starting to recognize, oh my God, I've been believing that I'm this fragmented aspect. Let me bring it back in. Let me embody it. Let me befriend it. Let me love it. Let me see it. Let me feel it. Let me acknowledge it. And then it starts to come into the body again. You're welcome here. Because I know that I, as the observer, am not that fragmented aspect. And there's so many fragmented aspects that we believe that we are. And so healing trauma allows us to see how we have imagined and viewed ourselves to be. We've associated ourselves as these traumatic experiences. We're none of it. That's where wholeness comes from. That's why befriending those limiting beliefs, befriending the trauma, seeing it, recognizing how you have labeled yourself these things, how you've believed yourself to be these things, is the key to healing. It's not about getting rid of it. It's not about not recognizing it or not feeling it or not seeing it because it's bad or it's wrong. That is only perpetuating the fragmented aspects of you that you don't want to see because you're labeling it, because you're still attaching yourself to it. You're still believing that you are it, thus the reason that you're judging it, thus the reason that you don't want to see it or look at it or feel it or even fix it. Trauma isn't fixed. Trauma just needs to be seen and felt. It just needs to be experienced as something that you have attached yourself to as if it was you. That's where true healing comes from. Right? You recognize how you have been viewing yourself and imagining and believing yourself to be based on something that happened to you in the external world that was never you. And then you recognize that you have always been whole, but now you have to bring the fragmented aspects that split back into the body and become whole again so that you can anchor yourself into, through energy, through higher frequencies, higher dimensional fields. And it's the high frequency light that's bringing light to the fragmented aspects. Wow, look at what I think about myself. Wow, look at what I've believed about myself. Wow. Another experience the human will have as they step into their multidimensionality is feeling their resonance. Resonance is the frequency the human body is holding in any now moment. Resonance is the frequency the human body is holding in any now moment. Have you ever noticed with your own resonance that you're like, I resonate with this, and then 2 days later, I don't resonate with this any longer? I resonate with going on this trip. 2 days later, I don't resonate going on this trip anymore because the frequency in your body is shifting. So your resonance is going to shift. Welcome to feeling like you're crazy, like you're bipolar, like you're losing your mind. That is because you are starting to feel your resonance or your frequency, and frequency is not stagnant. Your frequency doesn't stay the same. It's always doing this. And guess what that means? Your resonance is going to do this. You're going to resonate with someone one day, and the next day you're going to be like, I don't resonate with you today. I cannot with you. And then 3 days later, you're like, oh my God, let's hang out. Dude, you just told me 3 days ago you didn't want to. Yeah, I know, but I'm resonating today. Like, that's what happens. I'm not saying that's what you do, but I'm just saying that's how in a flow state we become. Nothing is permanent. We live in non-permanence. That's why you don't ever want to be final with anything. Resonance is the frequency the human body is holding in any now moment. It's designed to navigate the human through the energetic world. It is the human's compass. Everything is energy. And as the human becomes multidimensional, they begin to trust resonance over thoughts, beliefs, and the external world. So the more you start trusting your resonance, which is deeper than your intuition, okay? The intuition is a gut feeling. This feels right, this doesn't feel right. It's very similar to resonance, but resonance is a deeper knowingness. It's deeper. It's an absolute. So I want you to imagine the analogy, I don't know how how I could describe this analogy, but I want you to imagine like your intuition. Your intuition is more of like tentacles that are going out into the world and kind of giving you like yes, no, maybe, don't go in there, don't do that. So it's like constant tentacles. Resonance is more of a anchored absoluteness, without a lot of feeling. Resonance doesn't have a feeling or an emotion to it. It's it's just like it's a solid. It's something that's just boom. You just know it. It's a knowingness, and there's no explanation for it. There's no reason behind the resonance because the resonance is based on frequency, and frequency doesn't have an excuse. Well, I'm feeling this way because dot dot dot. I have this knowingness about this because of dot dot dot. There is no explanation for frequency. It just is. And so that's why many of you may be having a hard time trying to describe or explain to somebody why you feel a certain way. Because what you are trying to explain as a feeling is actually a knowingness that is based on a frequency. So you can't really explain it. You don't have reasons for it. Very difficult for people that are not starting to live in that state of resonance to understand people that are starting to live in that state of resonance. And then the third experience they're talking about is the human will also become more present and in the now. The human will find themselves experiencing presence more often. They will release the attachment to the past or the future. They will begin to trust the now moment as the only moment that needs attention. The fastest way to heal, the fastest way to raise your vibration is to pay attention to what is right here, right now. That's it. That's it. The human will find themselves in a more surrendered state, not trying to control or create a desired outcome. They will detach from all experiences. Detachment does not mean they do not feel or desire experiences or outcomes. Detachment means the human no longer associates themselves as the experience or outcome, but instead simply experiences each now. It's so crazy. When I was writing this, I wasn't experiencing this. Now I'm experiencing it, and it's surreal. It's very crazy. As the human practices presence, they will begin to experience neutrality. And neutrality is another aspect of becoming multidimensional. The human begins to step out of duality, which creates the illusion of separateness and right or wrong, and into neutrality. Neutrality allows for the natural expression of all consciousness, thoughts, beliefs, programs, paradigms, and behaviors without judgment. That doesn't mean that you don't have discernment. It doesn't mean that you don't look at something horrific and say, that is not okay. Many people will grab onto this and say, no, 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 that's impossible. There is right, there is wrong, there is good, there is bad, there is. And then there becomes a moment where somehow we figure out a way to step into the more neutrality where we're allowing consciousness to be. And most of us are not there, so we have to be okay with that. We can still talk about neutrality as a state of being. We can also talk about duality as a state of being. And there is a right, wrong, good, bad. You abuse a person or an animal, most people would say not okay. That's true. From a higher perspective, they would look down and say that's consciousness experiencing itself through free will. I'm not going to hold that right now, right? No, that's not okay. So we have to honor where we're at and what we're in, polarity and duality, while simultaneously recognizing that there is a thing called neutrality. But let's be honest and vulnerable and raw and real about where we are and how we're experiencing this world that we're in, which is full of duality and polarity. We're not bypassing, right? But we can still talk about the ways in which we'll be experiencing the world. The multidimensional human stands in the one unified quantum field where all experiences and consciousnesses exist without separation. The human understands everything in the external world is its own unique expression of source consciousness. Therefore, there is no judgment. Not easy, not where most of us are, not where we're necessarily supposed to be yet, right? We're still in the dark, dark shadow of the external. Another experience of multidimensionality is sovereignty. When a human is in their sovereignty, they are aligned with their energetic signature and their resonance. They are completely embodied and feel safe within their physical form. The sovereign human understands the external world cannot impact them unless they allow it. Sovereignty releases any aspect of victimhood. They express themselves freely and with both a power and a knowingness. The sovereign human is creating their reality from an empowered state, free within their form. They allow all other humans to express and be without an attachment to changing them. The sovereign human knows they are worthy and free to be all of who they are without being impacted by the external world. Doesn't mean you don't feel the external world. Very different. Again, there is so much grabbing of words, you know, being impacted by the external world means that you are associating yourself with what you are feeling as you are experiencing the external world. So if you're experiencing chaos or you're experiencing, lies, manipulation, frustrations, deceit, whatever, that's real. The way you're not impacted by it is that you are not associating yourself as it. That's sovereignty, that's empowerment. So you're feeling everything, all of it, but you're not it. You're sovereign. It's just an experience that the external world is giving you. We have flipped this whole thing. We've bypassed so much. And it's this deeper integration. It's the deeper integration of realizing that there's nothing to bypass or sidestep, that you have to feel everything. You have to see everything. But you can also do it from a very empowered, safe state and safe place and still feel a lot. And there's a lot of gray in that. There is a lot of gray in that around the world. A lot of gray. This is not a black and white experience that the human's having. The multidimensional human also begins to connect and align back into their channel. The human embodies their higher self and I am presence. They trust and follow the guidance of the higher self over the human. The human also gains access to all their multidimensional senses. They hear, see, feel, and receive higher frequency energies. There are many experiences the human has as they discover their multi-senses, but a few common ones are connecting and communicating with their guides. This is what happens when your DNA turns on, right? The light codes turn on. Connecting and communicating with their guides, bilocating into other dimensional fields, seeing energies in colors, shapes, and waves, receiving energy from higher dimensional realms and unpacking it as information, feeling energies around their body and in rooms, seeing visions or scenes from the non-physical realm, telepathic communication with other humans, and knowing things before they happen. That's just a few. Humanity is currently navigating this miraculous and courageous physical evolution in consciousness The above examples are just a few of many experiences the human will have as they step into their multidimensionality. These don't happen overnight. It takes baby steps and requires the human to have compassion and patience as they learn how to become multidimensional. It's less of a becoming, it's more of a just a remembering, it's more of just a remembering. Um, so yeah, the multidimensional human, the multidimensional experience is a wild ride that we're all going through. And I think eventually, many of us are going to start to trust this more and more. We're going to start to trust that this is possible, that this life that we've been talking about or that people have been talking about is real and it's alive and it's possible and it's and we don't get there by bypassing. We don't. You don't get to these states. I think a lot of people have believed for many, many years that, these states that they were just talking about are, you only get to it by uh, doing specific exercises in terms of like meditation or this or that. And it's like, no, truly the way that you step into the multidimensionality of this experience, which we're all here to experience. We're all here to evolve into this. This is a natural process. It's not like, oh my God, I hope this happens, and oh my God, I hope, and oh my no, it's you're on the path. It's like walking down a street. And you're like, God, I hope I get to the end of the street. Why would you not get to the end of the street? Of course, you're going to get to the end of the street. How do you know? Because you're walking down the street. Yeah, but what if I don't get there? I don't understand. What do you mean, what if you don't get there? Well, what if like it doesn't happen to me because of dot, dot, dot? Why don't you stop thinking these things and just keep showing up and being present? It's impossible for you not to reach the end of the street. Shut up your thoughts. Stop doubting. Stop trying to get anywhere and just be present. What are you feeling? What are you feeling? Now, what are you feeling? What are your thoughts? What are you believing as you? How are you treating people? How are you treating yourself? Stop trying to figure out where you're going and how to get there. Just be present on the street that you're in with one foot in front of the other. And that's how the human collective evolves. Not by trying to figure out how to do it, and not by trying to figure out the fastest way to do it or the way to do it with the least amount of uncomfortableness. The road is the road. It's choppy. There's tornadoes and hurricanes. There's snakes. There's dead corpses on the ground. There's all kinds of shit that you don't want to have to recognize and see and experience and feel. You still have to walk down the road. There's no other road. We try so hard to find an easier road. The human journey is all about accepting and surrendering to the road that you're on. Just let the road show you how this happens. Let the road show you. There's no other road. Stop searching for another road. The more you start searching for some other way other than the way that's in front of you right now, you will find yourself suffering. The state of suffering is created when you are resisting what is in front of you. That's where the human experiences suffering, is the resistance to surrendering to what is and what's unraveling and what's in front of you and what you're feeling and what you're going through. You hate your job. The suffering is that you are attached to the fact that you hate your job and you want it to change and you want it to shift. You're attaching to it. You're denying what you're in, which is, I'm on my road. And what's in front of me right now in this moment is that I hate my job. If I surrender to that as just being an experience that I'm having on my road and that everything is moving, nothing is permanent, then it's simply an experience I'm having. And there will be a moment on my road where I won't be having that. But I still get to honor the fact that I hate my job. but I don't have to attach to it. Suffering is attaching to it because you're in denial of what actually is. Um, does anybody have any questions about the book? This is day 7, so we're done. Um, so I'm probably going to do more stuff with the divine design. I'm just not exactly sure what it is. Sometimes it can be very difficult for me to dive into this stuff. So I'm dealing with my own resistance to it as well. It's very difficult at times. Can a human anchored in a 3D field see a human anchored in a 4D field? Like the 3D human couldn't see the 4D races in 4D, but they could see the humans. Yes, they will. They'll still be able to see the humans. What's going to happen is that you won't be able to. You won't understand necessarily what they're experiencing, and so many of you are experiencing this right now, where you are having an experience and awareness and you're trying to get other people to see that same awareness and they don't get it. They can't wrap their head around what you're talking about. They don't get it. They don't see what you're seeing. That is you and that other human experiencing different energies and consciousnesses in your body. That's you starting to experience different dimensional fields while simultaneously still standing in the physical third dimensional field. And this is going to start to happen more and more. So, again, it's not a physical disappearing that happens. The human body doesn't just disappear and all of a sudden you're like, where'd my mom go? She was on the planet and now she's gone, right? The 4D races were, it was a different dimensional experience of the field. So it's different. The human body is still going to be very physical in nature as it increases its vibration and frequency. So what you're going to notice more and more, I mean, eventually, probably hundreds of years from now, the body will be a much more light, but it will take a very long time. So what we're going to experience in this lifetime, most of us, is very different worlds, very different worlds. I like to use the analogy of you and a friend walking down a path, and you're capable of seeing different lights and different energies. You're capable of seeing the trees vibrate. Maybe you hear a bird talking to you and like you can actually telepathically hear it. Okay, the person next to you isn't going to see any of that. They'll be in their thoughts. They'll be complaining about something, maybe. They'll be talking about something they don't like. They'll be uh, just gabbing away and not seeing any of it. They can't access it yet. It's not their fault. They are not bad. They are not lower. They are not, we do not want to create a divide around this. It's just simply frequency. And you're in a higher frequency in your body. And so you're capable of experiencing different things. When we are completely anchored in the 5D, do we always feel bliss? This happened to me 4 years ago for 6 months. I don't know. It's possible. I haven't anchored it yet. It's very possible. I don't know. Are we going to shift in this lifetime or is it like 100 years out? Well, what do you mean shift, Debbie? Miriam, anyone here who cannot read the book, I still have lots of resistance, making it impossible to read if I want to. Miriam, I have resistance to the book and I wrote the book. Like right now, I don't care about multidimensional human. I really don't. Like there are days where I'm literally like, I don't care about any of this. It makes no difference. I'm just trying to love myself today. I'm just trying to get through my irritability. I'm just trying to get through whatever's coming up for me. So there's many parts about this book where I'm like, there are many days where I'm like, this is great information. I love it. Like, thank you. But I don't give a shit sometimes, because it's not, it's too much. It's like it's too much. So let yourself have the resistance. There are days where I'm like, damn, this is brilliant and genius. And like, God, this is going to activate so many people. And then there are days like today where I was like, I don't give a shit. I truly don't, Lorie. Like, I don't care. I don't care about multidimensionality. And so I find myself just doing this up and down. I wrote the damn book. I downloaded the thing, and I feel that way. So let yourself feel whatever you're feeling. The key for all of us in this human journey is to not make something bad or wrong. Really learning how to just trust and be okay. Just be okay with what you're feeling. Just be okay with it, you know? We have to be honest. I can only read in small bursts, and I have to really focus and reread lines again and again. It's very powerful. It's very powerful. It's very activating. Very activating. The roller coaster of our lives, a state of being present. Yep. Be the observer. I like to think about it as living my movie. There are good parts and bad parts, but the scenes are always changing. Always, always changing. I'm glad I'm not the only one. We're all doing this together. An empathic soap for the new age. So, since we as humans can experience all the dimensional fields according to our evolution, then we can think of the 12D grid as an energetic gated community. As and is this unique in the universe? This is very unique in the universe, Father Gold Daddy. I love your name, Father Gold Daddy. Um, it's like an energetic gated community, and it's very unique. This is a very unique experience. It's like a movie that people in the cosmos are watching. They're like, dude, have you checked out Earth and what's going on in that 12D grid? Shit's insane over there. It's very hard to wrap our heads around that because inside of the 12D grid is multiverses and galaxies and solar systems. That's what we call it, but it's simply consciousness. But yeah, it's insane. No, you're not stuck in the 5D 12D grid if your body dies. You're a consciousness and you can choose to leave the 12D grid at any time. Thank you so much for the jojoba oil recommendation. Oh my god. Not only is the jojoba oil life-changing, but there's a exfoliating mitt that I started to use. Holy guacamole. Your life will change if you use this exfoliating mitt. Talking about being human. This exfoliating mitt has literally like my face is like a baby's butt. Like it's insane. If anybody wants this freaking exfoliating mitt, message me. Um, or I'll leave the link down below. It's on Amazon. It's like $11. By the way, I'm 47. I've never used an exfoliating anything. I didn't even know what exfoliating really did. So, there's that piece too. But oh my God, what does it do? Dude, it takes all your dead skin off. It takes all the dead skin that builds up that even cleansing doesn't take off. Life-changing. I will link it. I'll leave the exfoliating and the jojoba oil. The jojoba oil is like $12 and the exfoliating mitt, $11 will change your life. As God is my witness. Are we in physical after 5D? Yes, 5D and 6D is physical. And from what I have been told by the Galactic Federation of Light, when consciousness moves into the seventh dimension, there's no more physicality. So it's like a light form, light body. It's light. There's no dense physicality from 7D on. Now, people will say, I saw a seventh dimensional being. And again, these seventh dimensional consciousnesses, eighth dimensional, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, they know how to move their energy down to become physical so that you see them. And so we have this misconception about higher dimensional realms that are supposedly physical. They're not. Physics When energy starts increasing in vibration, it starts speeding up. And as energy starts to speed up, it dissolves. You can't see it any longer. Just take a wheel on a bike and spin it. You'll see what I'm talking about. The wheel, all of a sudden, the wheel disappears. That's how energy works. When you start increasing the frequency of your own body like a wheel, the spokes disappear. You can't see the spokes. Where'd the spokes go? Somebody would say, "Oh, there's no spokes." And you would say, "No, there's 10 spokes. Watch." And then you slow the energy down, and all of a sudden you can see 10 spokes. Yeah, but I didn't see 10 spokes when it was 5 seconds ago. That's because the energy was speeding up, i.e., I was moving the wheel. They both exist in the now. 3D, 7D exist in the now. It's all based on the spin of the energy, the frequency. And when you increase frequency, you increase the vibration, you move into higher dimensional fields, and you start to dissolve. The physical form starts to dissolve. So when people are talking about seeing these really high dimensional consciousnesses, they're not actually seeing what is true. They're seeing a higher dimensional consciousness slowing their vibration down so that the human can see them, just like a tire slows down so you can see the spoke. Okay, that's what's happening. Could you put the chapter you took out on your site? Yeah, I took out a lot of there's a lot that I took out of the book. Not a lot. There's the first chapter I took out from it was the Galactic Federation of Light. Then there was a chapter on the race wars. I think there was there was a lot. There was so much that came through that I have it all. I have it all written. Lorie, I'm having that day just hanging on by my fingernails, and yet I know I'm on my correct pathway. Thank you for giving me permission to experience it. Thank you for giving yourself permission to experience it. You can add them to book 2. Yeah, I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna go through well, I don't know if I'm gonna go through it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna add more stuff to the next rendition. The sun is incredible these days. I sat with it for 20 minutes, really enjoying how it feels on my skin. It's so amazing. I made a super scrub that changes the skin for the best. I love that. Are their form when they slow down vibration always the same, or it depends on the individual that's watching and seeing them? It depends on the individual. It depends on the individual. Thank you, Valerie or Valeria. Valeria. Hi, Lorie. I think you mentioned that we don't choose what or when we activate. It's a natural process. A lot of spiritual teachers and healers are selling experiences. We're selling experiences, healing, DNA activating, third eye, etc. Do they not work and not needed? It's possible they work. I just think that you don't want to attach to an expectation or or an outcome. And the more you can not attach to an expectation or an outcome, the more you will allow your own self to show you what you need to see to activate your DNA. The activation of the third eye is simply clearing out density that is blocking you from trusting your third eye. That's it. And so, what these things may be doing for people, that the courses and stuff, or the teachings, or the activations, um, is more likely than not, what they're actually doing is stirring up what you need to see that's blocking you from increasing your DNA. So, a very common experience when you take a DNA activation or a healing activation is in the moment of that activation, you feel really good because the teacher or the healer has created a space where it's a really high frequency, right? And then what happens a day or two later is you crash, right? You're like, wait a second, I feel like shit. Wait a second, I feel irritated. Wait a second, I have anger, right? That's because the healing or activation that you did is doing what it's supposed to do, which is the opposite of what you expect it to do. So you expect it to move you into this high frequency. You expect it to create more love and bliss in your life. And oh my God, I'm just going to be in heaven now. And it does the opposite. It's supposed to do the opposite. right? What it's supposed to do is show you what is within you in terms of density that is blocking the physical body from naturally shifting itself into higher frequencies. Does that make sense? It's the body that's going to do this, not you or not some, magical DNA activation. The DNA activation is going to work by showing you the energies that you're still holding, i.e., trauma, limiting beliefs, behaviors, ways of being that are in lower frequencies than the frequency your body needs to hold in order to activate that DNA or those light codes or the third eye. Does that make sense? So the attachment or the expectation um, that you're going to be in these elevated states afterwards is going to be very disappointing, all right? Because you're going to watch, holy shit, I just felt so amazing 2 days ago, and now I feel like crap. Bravo, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now, a healer doesn't necessarily know that's what's happening, or they're definitely not gonna sell it like that. Because who's gonna take a course? Who's gonna take a DNA activation that's gonna make them feel like shit? Why? Because humans don't wanna feel like shit. Why? Because they don't realize that when you feel like shit, you're actually elevating. When you feel like crap, you're actually accelerating your own evolution. But we don't like that. We have been programmed to believe the opposite, that when I feel crappy and low and shitty, there's something wrong with me. I'm going in the wrong direction. I would say the opposite. You're going in the right direction. You're clearing out the density. You're feeling what you courageously don't want to feel and have been told not to feel. And so, again, visualize you're on a road and all of a sudden the shit's coming into the middle of the road. And what a lot of people have been programmed to do is go sideways. Nah, not feeling that, not looking at that. Nope, gonna do the opposite. And off you go on the left-hand side, right? And it's like, oh, wait, you're missing the actual trajectory of where you're supposed to go straight ahead. Right? And so it's like, "Oh my god, I gotta bump into that nastiness." So you do a DNA activation or something, right? You do some healing class, and it's on the road. You take the class. In the moment of taking the class on the road, you're like, "Wow, I feel like $1,000,000." But if you know that you're just gonna show up for whatever shows up on the next step, and if it's something shitty, you're going to trust that it's part of the DNA activation. "Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that." You're not gonna say, "Oh, nope, this isn't this. I shouldn't be feeling this. I just had a DNA activation. I just had a this. I just had a that. This shouldn't be showing up. I'm gonna go left instead." Oh, no, 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 no. You're supposed to go straight, sweetheart. You're diverging. You're diverging, my friends. Don't diverge. There's a lot of people that have taken, have done guided meditations with me or other things, and um, even myself, you feel really good, you feel really elevated, you feel so connected, right? And I always say that this doesn't last. Don't hold on to it, don't attach to it. This is not our natural state yet. Not yet. We have a lot of trauma to clear out, right? And then they'll be like, I feel like shit 3 days later, or all of a sudden I felt this or this came up, or yep, can you feel that? Yep, can you feel that? Right? Can you give an example of beginner's practice of being the observer, especially when emotional? Okay, well, it's very difficult to be the observer when you're emotional, but the way to practice it is try to practice it when you're not emotional, because then it becomes easier when you are emotional. It's much more difficult to start practicing the observer when you're emotional, because hot damn do you grab onto that emotion, right? But one of the ways that you can start practicing the observer is you start to say to yourself, I this is how I do it, right? I am now going to be making dinner. I am now making a spaghetti dinner. I'm now going to take a shower. I am now going to meet my mom for dinner. I am now getting into my car. I am now ignoring the phone call of my friend that's calling. I am now trying to find an excuse for this or that. Oh, I am now lying about this. I am now choosing to not go to the grocery store because I'm lazy, right? I'm not lazy, but I'm feeling the sense of laziness, right? So you start to start to watch yourself do the very basic things. You want to start there. Then you're getting the muscle. You're starting to move that or uh, flex that muscle of the observer, so that When an emotion comes in that's intense, like for me today, it's been irritability. Whew, irritability has been massive. Um, I can start to recognize that I'm feeling irritability. I'm not irritable. I'm feeling irritability. I'm not irritable. I'm feeling irritability. Lorie, you are feeling irritability. Lorie, you do not want to talk about this book. Lorie, you are irritated with this and that. Lorie, you are right. So you're looking at it almost like a third person, and you're kind of telling yourself what you're experiencing, right? So it's like the seer, the watcher, the observer. And then what happens is you're going to get caught up in an emotion, and you're going to get so angry, or you're going to get so frustrated, and boom, you will immediately recognize that you're in it, right? Like you are in this, and you can't even recognize that you're in it. That's how in it you are. Then you slowly start to, after you start feeling the emotion totally in it, like I am this emotion, I like get out of my way, F you, la la la, right? You're in it. Then what starts to happen as you recognize that you're in it is you slowly start to pull yourself out of it while you're in it. It's like, wait a second, I'm feeling anger. Wait a second, I just yelled at this person. Wait a second. Hold on a second. This energy just came over my body. Oh my God, felt this massive anger within me. This trigger just happened. I just lost my shit. You start to become the observer while you got pulled into it. And then what happens is you're able to more easily pull yourself into the observer as you currently or simultaneously feel the emotion. This is not about not feeling. This is about not letting the feeling control you. And when you recognize that the feeling, when I say the feeling doesn't control you, you don't believe that you're it. I'm feeling irritated. I know that it's going to pass. I don't believe that I'm the irritability. So what? That allows me to feel it. If I let the irritability control me, then I'm going to get more frustrated that I'm feeling irritable. You understand? When I let an emotion control me, then I believe that I'm that emotion and that it has control over me, and then I get frustrated and angry that I'm even feeling it. When you realize that you're not what you're feeling, you don't care that you're feeling it because you know it's going to move. You know that you're going to shift. Does that make sense? I see dot dot dot. I hear dot dot dot. That's a good one. I feel dot dot dot. I'm feeling dot dot dot. Does that also work for physical pain? Okay, so I've always been very honest about this. I don't usually have a lot of physical pain. However, I've been having a lot of physical pain the last couple of days in my neck, in my shoulders. Um, but yeah, I do it the same way. I observe the physical pain. I don't associate myself as the physical pain, and I don't get upset with myself that I have the physical pain. Right? It's almost like I try to do my best to soothe my body in the physical pain. Um, the more that you get upset with yourself and the fact that you're in the physical pain, the more it perpetuates the physical pain. Instead of trying to befriend it and figure out what it is that needs your attention, what needs your attention. And that's not always easy. And I don't have a lot of physical pain, so I can't really speak to it in the same way that I can about being the observer and moving through emotions and trauma, because I'm brilliant at that. That's all I do. Right? Physical pain, I'm not brilliant at because I don't have a lot of experience with physical pain. So I don't have much to share about that. Um, yeah, if you're getting upset with the pain, pay attention to that because you're identifying with it in some way. And there's a judgment around it. Of course, there's judgment around the pain. Nobody wants to feel pain. Nobody. Physical pain, emotional pain also, but physical pain. So it can be very, very challenging. So you can start to try to become the observer by my body is feeling dot, dot, dot. My body is trying to get my attention in dot, dot, dot in this area of my body. Can I befriend this? Can I soothe into this? Think about it like the whatever the heck I heard this morning out in the middle of the mountains, that wounded dog. Instead of getting angry over the fact that there was this wounded dog that I needed to try to find, right? Instead of getting upset with your fact that with you that you're wounded, can you embrace yourself? Can you have more compassion for yourself? You see, we beat ourselves up. We get so angry, we get so frustrated, and it makes sense. But is there another way for you to start to be with yourself in the pain? Um, yeah, your body's feeling. Your body can you befriend it? Is boredom and lack of motivation also clearing energy? It's stepping into new ways of being. It's almost like when you are feeling that sense of boredom and lack of motivation, which millions of us are feeling, which I think is freaking amazing. I think it's so insane what we're going through. But so many people are feeling this sense of boredom and lack of motivation because they are consciously or unconsciously pulling themselves out of very dense third dimensional ways of being. And so you imagine that you're pulling yourself out of these ways that you used to be, and you're not exactly sure what you're stepping into or how to be in these new ways. So there's this pause state. What's going on? How come I don't feel anything? How come I don't want to do anything? How come nothing excites me? Because you're literally pulling yourself out of the old paradigms, the old programs, the old systems, the very dense third dimensional field, the matrix. And you're starting to step into new ways of being. I left my water glass. Dang it. Oh God, it's already 3 o'clock. Holy cannoli. I gotta go. I mean, I don't have to go. I don't have to do anything, but it's midnight in France. I'm glad you're here, Miriam, even though there's resistance to the book. Um, okay, you guys. Wow, 7 days. That went by fast. 7 days of the divine design. Thank you guys so much for getting this book, reading this book, trying to read this book, slowly moving your way through this book, reading it again and again. Many of you have been reading it multiple times. I truly believe that the divine design is a book that will be passed along for years and years and years and years. And those of us that are reading it right now are sort of, um, you know, uh, ahead of the game in a way. Um, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The links are down below to get the book if you are still interested in getting the book. I will be doing a lot more with this book. I will be offering a lot more things for us to dive into this book. I just don't exactly know what that is yet. But as soon as I do, I will let you know. It's been a lot of fun dissecting it and talking about it. It's been um, it's this is just the beginning, right? This is just the beginning of this book. Um, it's just the beginning. So thank you again. It means the world to me that you are reading it. It means the world to me that you're sharing it and that you're courageously opening up to this information and letting it do whatever it's going to do for you. Is there anything else that I want to share before I go? If you're not on my mailing list, definitely get on my mailing list because I'll be sharing all the things that are coming down the pike. I'll be in Ireland, London, Netherlands, and Romania in March of 2023. So we get to meet in person if you're in that neck of the woods. Um, I'll be in Sedona for a 3-day seminar, November 4th, 5th, and 6th. There's, I think, one seat left in person. The rest are virtual. I'd love to see you there. Lots more integration, a lot of integration for that seminar, a lot of healing, a lot of activations. And what else is happening? Book signing. Book signing is going to be September 17th. September 17th, my book signing event in person in Santa Monica at the Mystic Journey Bookstore, 5 to 7 p.m., Santa Monica, California, September 17th, which is like 13 days. So if you're in the area, come by. I would love to see you. I'll sign your book. I'm also going to be selling the hardcovers and paperbacks there. So if you don't have a book, and you're in the area, come to the area, grab a book. I'll sign it for you. Will I be coming to New Zealand? I would love to, Derek. I would love to go to New Zealand. I'd love to go to Australia. Maybe towards the middle of next year. Please, I would love to hear your experiences with the book. Email me or message me. I love hearing how people are experiencing it. And it's a lot of fun. I'm going to link the oil. Thanks for reminding me. I'm going to link the Exfoliating Mitt and the Jojoba Oil for all you women out there that want your freaking faces to change. No book signing in the Bay Area. My email is contact@lorieladd.com, and I'll leave the email down below as well. But it's I think it already is down there, but it's contact@lorieladd.com. And the mailing list is on my website. Yeah, the mitt as well. The mitt as well. All right, you guys, be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others, and stay on the lookout for other things that are going to be coming down the pike with the divine design. Okay, I love you guys. Thank you again for all your support. Mwah.